Hello, you're tuning in the English News Bulletin on QPVN channel. I'm Nguyễn, and now let me keep you up to date with the headlines. Diplomacy service role in peace building. Defense Minister Phan Văn Giang pays tribute to former party, state, military leaders and visits Veterans Association. Strengthening Vietnam-Laos relationship. On the morning of April the 23rd, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs organized an international conference themed 50 Years of National Reunification, the peace-building role of diplomacy from past to present. President Lương Cường made the remarks at the conference. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Bùi Thanh Sơn chaired the event. The event also saw the attendance of Senior Lieutenant General Phùng Sĩ Tấn, Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army, together with many Vietnamese and foreign experts and scholars on diplomacy and historical witnesses. Speaking at the conference, President Lương Cường highlighted the significant contribution of Vietnam's diplomacy service to the victory on April 30th, 1975. During the long struggle for national liberation, Vietnamese diplomacy service divided the enemy, garnered international support, promoted just cause of the Vietnamese people's struggle, thus helping Vietnam combine the maximum strength of the nation and the strength of the times for the cause of national liberation and reunification. After 1975, Vietnamese diplomacy continued to affirm the justice of Vietnam's noble international cause in Cambodia, contributing to breaking the isolation and siege so that Vietnam could integrate into the world, creating momentum and strength for the cause of renewal. President Lương Cường emphasized that half a century after the great victory in spring 1975, the Vietnamese diplomacy service has accumulated many lessons learned of both national and contemporary significance for not only Vietnam but also the international community. For Vietnam, it is a lesson about combining national strength and the strength of the times. For the international community, it is a lesson in peaceful diplomacy and the model of putting the past aside, looking towards the future. Delegates discussed the contributions of the Vietnamese diplomacy service to the cause of national liberation and reunification. They also draw experience in the history of more than half a century of Vietnamese diplomacy. Delivering a speech at the event, Senior Lieutenant General Phùng Sĩ Tấn clarified the art of combining the struggle on the political, military, and diplomatic fronts of Vietnam in the great victory in spring 1975. Also on April the 23rd, President Lương Cường held a working session with the Presidential Office to discuss its work in April and main task for May. Vice President Võ Thị Ánh Xuân also attended the meeting. President Lương Cường acknowledged and commended the office for advising him on the decision to present gifts to individuals who have rendered service to the nation on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification, and the 80th anniversary of the foundation of the nation. He highlighted the decision to posthumously honor the heroic soldiers who sacrificed their lives and actions, as well as the recognition of outstanding individuals nationwide during the April 30th celebrations. Regarding key tasks in the coming period, the President requested that the Presidential Office focus on successfully organizing the 2025-2030 term of the Presidential Office Party Congress, promptly complete the evaluation of the amnesty files, assist the President in signing and issuing the 2025 amnesty decision, and ensure its announcement on schedule. On the afternoon of April the 23rd, at its 44th session, the National Assembly Standing Committee considered submitting to the National Assembly the shortening of the term of the 15th National Assembly and People's Councils at all levels for the 2021-2026 term, deciding on the election date for the 16th National Assembly and People's Councils at all levels for the 2026-2031 term, and establishing the National Election Council. The committee also commented on the draft law on election of National Assembly deputies and People's Council deputies amended, the draft law on amendments and supplements to a number of articles of the law on economical and efficient use of energy, In particular, the Standing Committee of the Review Committee believed that the establishment of the Fund for Promoting Economical and Efficient Use of Energy is well-founded, aiming to institutionalize Resolution number 55 of the Politburo on the orientation of Vietnam's national energy development strategy to 2030 with a vision to 2045. However, it is proposed that clearer and more specific provisions should be made regarding certain fundamental aspects related to the establishment, management, task, financial mechanisms, and use of the fund in the draft law, serving as a basis for the government to issue detailed regulations and implementation guidance. On the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and National Reunification Day, on April the 23rd, General Phan Van Giang, Minister of National Defense, offered incense and presented gifts in tribute to late and former leaders of the party, state, and military. General Phan Van Giang visited the families and offered incense in memory of Sing Lieutenant General Lê Khả Phiêu, former party general secretary and former chairman of the General Political Department of the Vietnam People's Army. General Lê Đức Anh, former state president and former minister of national defense, and other former ministers of national defense, including General Võ Nguyên Giáp, General Văn Tiến Dũng, General Đoàn Khuê, General Phùng Quang Thanh, General Chu Huy Minh, former Vice President of the State Council, Chairman of the General Political Department of the Vietnam People's Army, General Hoàng Văn Thái and General Lê Trọng Tấn, former chiefs of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army and former Deputy Defense Ministers. General Phan Van Giang and the delegation expressed respect for and infinite gratitude to the great contributions and dedication of the former leaders to the revolutionary cause of the party, the nation, and the cause of building the heroic Vietnam People's Army. General Phan Van Giang wished the leaders' families good health, hoping they would make more contribution to the development of the country and the growth of the military. Visiting General Ngô Xuân Lịch, former Minister of National Defense, and Lieutenant General Đặng Quân Thụy, former Vice Chairman of the National Assembly, General Phan Van Giang informed the former leaders of the remarkable results of the military defense task performance in recent times. General Phan Van Giang wished General Ngô Xuân Lịch, Lieutenant General Đặng Quân Thụy, and their families good health and happiness, hoping that they would further contribute valuable and dedicated ideas to build the Vietnam People's Army. Visiting the Vietnam Veterans Association on the same day, General Phan Van Giang thanked the association and its chapters at all levels for always accompanying and closely coordinating with the Ministry of National Defense, military agencies and units, especially in building the military, strengthening the defense, and protecting the fatherland. The leadership of the Vietnam Veterans Association affirmed that the association would always uphold and promote the noble virtues of Uncle Hồ soldiers, continuing to play a part in building and protecting the fatherland. Also on the afternoon of April the 23rd, Sing Lieutenant General Trịnh Văn Quyết, chairman of the General Political Department, chaired a conference on the implementation of the conclusion of the Central Military Commission on restructuring local military units. The delegates were briefed on the plan and principles for the restructuring of local military units and bodyguard units according to the guidelines of the party and state and the conclusion of the Central Military Commission, ensuring leanness, strength, effectiveness, and efficiency. Sing Lieutenant General Trịnh Văn Quyết emphasized that the reorganization and streamlining of the apparatus is an urgent and important task of the party and state. In the process of restructuring local military units, all units and agencies need to study and develop a specific plan, including expected personnel to report to senior levels for approval, thereby selecting truly worthy categories for appointment during the merger and reorganization of the apparatus. General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff and Deputy Defense Minister, on the afternoon of April the 23rd, received Admiral David Lance Johnston, Chief of the Defense Force of Australia. General Nguyễn Tân Cương emphasized that the Vietnam always values the relationship with Australia, as well as the potential and position in the international and regional arena. The upgrading of the bilateral relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership in March 2024 is an important milestone, creating favorable conditions for further cooperation in various fields, including defense. General Nguyễn Tân Cương suggested that in the coming time, the two sides continue to coordinate to effectively implement cooperation contents on the basis of consensus between senior leaders of the two countries and the two ministries of defense, focusing on such areas as delegation exchanges, dialogue and consultation, training, UN peacekeeping operations, arms and services cooperation, effective coordination of multilateral cooperation activities, especially within the framework of the ADMM+. For his part, Admiral David Lance Johnston expressed his delight at the constantly developing relationship between Australia and Vietnam in all fields, especially defense cooperation. He expressed his hope that the bilateral defense relations would continue to develop in the coming time and expand to new areas suitable to the needs and capabilities of both sides. Coming up next, strengthening Vietnam-Laos relationship, nurturing national pride in young generation. At the invitation of General Secretary of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party and President of Laos Thongloun Sisoulith, President of Vietnam Luong Quang is paying a state visit to Laos from April the 24th to the 25th. This marks President Luong Quang's first state visit to Laos, underscoring his commitment to deepening the great friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation between Vietnam and Laos. The visit aims to elevate bilateral ties to a new level of depth, substance, and effectiveness, contributing to the prosperity of both nations. The visit takes place in the context of the increasingly strong and positive development of Vietnam-Laos cooperative relations. High-level agreements between the two parties and cooperation agreements between the two governments are being actively implemented by both sides. I highly appreciate President Luong Quang's visit to Laos. This visit offers a meaningful opportunity for both sides to deepen dialogue and further strengthen the Laos-Vietnam relationship, which has been founded on the sacrifices of revolutionary soldiers and the people of both nations. I'm confident that no matter how the world changes, with the determination of both parties, states, and peoples, the great friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation built on the sacrifices of countless generations will grow stronger. Vietnam and Laos will remain steadfast, resilient, and united in cooperating and supporting each other to address the challenges of the era. This will contribute to enhancing the standing of both nations in the international community and play a positive role in building a peaceful, stable, cooperative, sustainable, and prosperous ASEAN community. On the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and National Reunification Day, on April the 23rd in Hanoi, the Truth National Political Publishing House, in collaboration with the Academy of Journalism and Communication, held a seminar themed the 1975 Great Spring Victory, the Power of Will and the Belief in Victory. At the seminar, historical witnesses along with a large number of officials, lecturers, and students looked back on the heroic milestones of the general offensive and uprising in the spring 1975. They highlighted the key factors behind the victory of the historic Ho Chi Minh campaign and the 1975 Great Spring Victory. The event served as a meaningful activity in educating revolutionary ideas and fostering national pride among the current generation, those who are and will continue to carry forward the mission of nation building in this new era. Within the framework of the event, numerous classic works and valuable documents on the Resistance War and the 1975 Great Spring Victory, such as the 1975 Great Spring Victory, a heroic epic of the Ho Chi Minh era, the general headquarters during the Spring of Final Victory, and Family, Friends, and the Homeland, memoirs of former Vice President Nguyễn Thị Bình were introduced. These publications helped spread the spirit of patriotism and encouraged the reading culture among young people. And that's all for now. Remember, you can always watch news again at QPVN.vn. Now, thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.